All right, here with Jeff Fenech. Jeff, a lot going on at the moment in Australian boxing. Got Keith Thurman, Brock Jarvis next week. Thoughts on that fight first up?
My thoughts are one way, one way out. I hope Brock cause an upset because it would be a massive upset. Keith Thurman is somebody who I respect totally. He's had an amazing career, and a split decision loss to Manny Pacquiao says a lot to me. Manny Pacquiao won 8 world titles in 8 different weight divisions, and for Thurman, to be as competitive he was against him after being knocked out in the first round is a very, very dangerous opponent.
We were expecting you to be in the corner and train Brock for this fight. Can you sort of share what happened there?
Well, I haven't shared anyway yet. People maybe still think that I'm going to be in his corner, but I don't know. I love Brock, but he's changed. He's an adult now. He makes his own decisions. That's what he told me a couple of times, and some of the decisions he's made, I don't agree with. So I don't want to be a part of something that I'm not in charge of, from the trainer or the coach or the teacher. I want to take full responsibility as long as they listen to me. It's more, I want to, if something happens, I'm prepared to take, whatever I'm supposed to take. But if somebody's not listening to you, it makes it hard.
What do you sort of see as, do you think Keith's sort of taking this fight for a potential Tszyu fight? What do you sort of think the motives are for Keith Thurman to take this fight?
Well, I'd first say that Matt Rose and the team are very, very clever, because and I hope that Brock wins, but if he wins, there's an opponent for Nikita or Tim, and if Keith Thurman wins, straight back in. He just knocked out or beaten Australian, and now he's going to fight Tszyu. It's all about getting the next fight ready. So whoever wins is going to be fighting one of the Zoos.
We saw Keith train here earlier this week. Have you seen him? What do you make of the shape he's in at the moment?
Listen, 36 years of age isn't old anymore. I remember when I fought Carlos Zarate, he made a comeback, won 10 fights. 11 fights he had and won 10 by knockout. But he was like 29 or 30. Oh, he's too old. I mean, maybe back then it was old, but today with the nutrition and, our training techniques have all changed. And I think he's coming ready to fight.
Saw you a couple of weeks ago, Tyson Pedro, professional boxing debut. What did you make of his performance?
I thought it was amazing. I mean, like I said, I've trained a lot of people. Watching him train with me and then seeing what he'd done after it every day was pretty special to me. He'd write down everything I told him, come back the next day, be ready to do it again. And and then the performance. Remember, right, the guy wasn't the greatest fighter, but he's had 15 fights, 13 wins by knockout. So, and he was a strong guy. To win the way Tyson won was very, very impressive. When he was tired, it was just like it was like he'd had like 100 fights prior to it, and not MMA, because MMA is different. But he was really, really relaxed, calm, and he believed in himself. And like I said, when you've had a good preparation, you're fine, and that's one of the reasons why I'm not with Brock, because I don't think he had the right preparation to do the job. Like I said, I hope to God that something happens and Brock knocks him out. But like I said, when I'm going to be in somebody's corner, I want them to have the full preparation under me, so I know what I've put into the ring.
Tszyu scheduled to fight Tszyu-Spencer next month. Thoughts on that fight?
Well, I'd like Tim to buy a few red noses just to put on all the clowns that are in his corner. And I'm going to say it as I always say it. Tszyu to me is one of the most entertaining fighters to watch. His last 2 losses were, again, the first loss he shouldn't have even lost. He should have retained the title because of the cut head. Those clowns, first of all, knew that after the 3rd round, the 4th round, that it goes to the scorecards. And then, if they knew how to cut, if they knew how to stop it from bleeding, that would have been great too. They didn't know how to do that. And then, like I said, in his last fight, I honestly believe, and I care what anybody says, I'll ask you the question. If your father was a great rugby league player he came to watch you play, would you try to impress him? Yeah.
I would.
Instinct is that I'm going to show my dad I'm better than him, or I'm going to show him, how good I am. And listen, I'm not saying there was a problem, but I think Tim took it the wrong way. Tim he's walking to his dressing room, talking to Keith Thurman about signing the contract for the next fight. If that was my fighter, I'd kick him in the ass. Listen, you're concentrating on this guy, and that's what they didn't do. They didn't do enough homework on him. They just thought that they were going to beat him. And I didn't listen. People can, again, like Tim, anyone can say what they want to do. I just know that a proper prepared Tim Tszyu would have beaten both those guys.
What would you like to see from Tim in this fight? Does he box a little bit more? Is he cautious? How does he deal with the mental pressure as well?
Yeah, you can't be cautious. You've got to do what you always done, and what he done the best. And like I said, in that last fight that he lost, the Tim Tszyu that I love is the guy that goes up to you and he balks in front of somebody. He sees what they're going to do. He does it again, and then he makes you pay. He sets those guys up. Against his last opponent, he just walked out and tried to wipe him out of there. I mean, that's not Tim. So all I want to see is Tim get back to the real Tim Tszyu, not the one that was trying to show anybody how good he was. And they can say he wasn't, but like I said, I don't care who you are, what you are, what sport you're in. If my dad's sitting there or my brother's there and he's better than me and I'm better, I want to prove that I'm better than all of them. And if they don't want to do that, something's wrong with them. It's instinct.
How do you deal with the pressure, though? He probably is the face of Australian boxing domestically. How do you deal with that pressure?
He seemed to have dealt with it well. He's always there. He's an open book to everybody. He helps everybody. He does everything for everybody. So, the only time now he's going to be under more pressure because he's thinking, what am I going to do? And I don't care who you are. That'll always be in your head that what happened to you. So he's got to really wipe that out on fight night. But it's got to be there. And I think that the best way to do any of that is to have somebody who knows, who's been there and done it in the corner. And again, he doesn't have that. So, they can talk to him, they can train him. But unless you've been there and you've done that, and there's been a lot of fighters that have been there and done that can't train or coach. But I believe that, he needs somebody that he can relate to inside the ring and outside the ring, He needs to know that when he sits down, these guys are going to tell him what's right, not him just go out and do what he does every round. He's been blessed to have just, gone out and been able to totally dominate all these guys. When the fights have now been close, you need to be able to sit down and somebody tell you how to, to change that around. And I don't think those guys in his corner have a clue at all.
Now, Joe Opetaia, what did you make of his last performance and where do you see him going next?
Well, let's get back to what we just talked about. Now, that's the face of Australian boxing. I mean, he's the best Australian fighter by a mile. I mean, Tim's there, no problem. But we don't hear nothing about Joe because he's with the wrong corporation. I mean, why? We're Australia. Every newspaper should write on performance of great Australians, not because he's not signed with him or he's not signed with that. When I fought, I was in every paper, front page of the Sun, the Mirror, the Telegraph. There, things have changed. Like I said, it's changed for the worse. We live in a shit world today. I mean, all this social media and all this stuff that happens because of it is crap. And all I can say is everybody in Australia, whether you know about boxing or not, should be talking about Joe Opetaia. Everybody, the whole of Australia should know him. They don't because of the bullshit that goes on in our sport.
Does he sort of push for that unification against Ramirez? Where do you see him going?
Well, he wants to fight anybody. He wants to fight the best fighters. And just want to tell you a quick story about him. I watched him spar when he was, 16 or 17. I watched him straight away. I signed him up. I was his manager. I said to people, he's going to be the best fighter ever. And a few little things happened, with not badly between Joe and I, but and I just cut ties because I was sick of boxing, and he went on to, honestly, to do everything that I thought he'd do. I always thought this guy was going to be special. And like I said, the sad thing is the boxing people know about him, and people now in the world know, but he should be on the front page of magazines in Australia. He should be, this kid's going to do something so special. He's already done it, but he's going to continue to do it because he's so talented.
Now, will you bet the fights next week?
Of course I will be. I'll be there cheering Brock on and watching other fights with interest. And I've got quite a few of our friends that were sponsors and friends of Brock, so we're all going to go there together. And hopefully we'll all say a prayer before it, and then we'll watch Brock get his hand raised.
Nice one. Thanks, mate.
Thank you.